As promised, joining us now, Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president. Kellyanne, welcome back to the program. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, Stuart.
Looks to us like President Trump is making an all-out push to get a couple of Democrat senators moving over to the Republican side to pass tax cuts. Is that what's going on?
Yes, and today the president will travel to North Dakota. Senator Heidi Heitkamp, Democrat of North Dakota, will ride on Air Force One with the president, and I think that's a great sign with respect to the Democrats who know that constituents and job creators and job holders and job seekers in their states deserve and desire meaningful tax reform and tax relief. We haven't had a major tax cut in this country in years, we need to lower the burden.
I'm just trying to think this forward. I'm imagining the speech in North Dakota later on today. Heidi Heitkamp has been on Air Force One traveling with the president of North Dakota. She's sitting in the audience. The president is at the podium. He's saying, you Democrats, you got to change your minds here. You got to go for growth. You got to go for jobs. That's a very powerful argument to a sitting senator right in front of him. I mean, I think the president has strong hopes of getting at least 2 Democrat senators over onto his side of the fence. Am I right?
Well, at least, and Stuart, I would point out to you and your viewers that when Chuck Schumer, the minority leader in the Senate, sent out a letter, 3 Democratic senators did not sign on to that letter. Yep. And that includes Senator Heitkamp, Senator Manchin, Senator Donnelly, West Virginia, Indiana, respectively, also up for re-election next year in 2018. They know in their states that not only did President Trump carry those states all handily, but most importantly, they know that their voters and their citizens deserve a tax cut. This 15% corporate tax rate that the president is fighting for, imagine what businesses would do. They would reinvest that money in their workforce. They would buy better equipment. They could lower prices for consumers and contractors. And it's just incredibly important to think about middle class getting a tax relief. People are white-knuckled at the end of each month. Even those who hold jobs, 2 and 3 jobs in the household, they say, why are we still white-knuckled, nervous to pay the mortgage or the rent or the tuition or the student loan voucher, the grocery, the gas bill? So we're trying to give that relief, much needed relief, to folks who are overregulated and overtaxed and have been for about 8 or 10 years. The outline of the plan, as has been told to us by Gary Cohen, is that you cut the corporate tax rate, you cut individual tax rates, but at the same time, you claw back some of the deductions which are used by upper-income people. That's what makes it a middle-class tax cut. Is that the broad outline that the president has in mind here? Those are. In addition, the child care tax credit is currently in the bill, and that is meant to help middle-class families meet those expenses and encourage those who want to work and find that one of the crushing burdens is meaningful, affordable child care as well. But, you know, many people say, Stuart, quite incorrectly, quite falsely, that this is a tax cut for the wealthy. Actually, the wealthy currently benefit from the code as written because they can afford accountants and attorneys and lobbyists to make the code more favorable to them or help them navigate around the code and take advantage of many of those deductions and credits. So if you do away with most of those, some will survive. Some that are more popular to middle-class households are expected to survive. But getting rid of most of those actually makes the code more fair and even-handed, but it also does something else. It does away, if you simplify the way that we file our taxes, then it does away with the billions of hours that we spend and the billions of dollars we spend each and every year trying to comply with the tax code. Middle-class families are spending untold hours and then also spending money on software packages or on professional tax preparers because they fear the IRS coming down on them because they unknowingly didn't comply with a section of the tax code. So let's just make it simpler and more fair to everyone.
I want to bring to your attention and get your comment on media comments this morning following yesterday's suspension of, or the getting away from, DACA. The Washington Post says that Mr. Trump is heartless. The Los Angeles Times says that Mr. Trump is just passing the book. The New York Times accuses him of cowardice. The editorial in the New York Times says Donald Trump's cowardice on Dreamers. Your response to those very harsh words?
Well, they're very harsh, and they just don't understand. They seem to just not understand what this law was and what it was not. So President Obama himself, if you look at his comments, I have a whole list of his comments here, if you'd like to put them up on your screen at some point, from 2010 and 2011, talking about it is Congress who makes the immigration laws. That is true. The Constitution does not support this. And that President Obama, through a memorandum from DHS at the time, initiated this program and never intended it to be permanent. When he had 60 Democratic senators, Stuart, they did not take action. They could have taken action if this was so important to them then to make it a permanent piece of the law. The compassionate piece of this is the wind down, given the 6 months notice, because these state attorneys general were suing. And if you had a court do with DACA what they had done with DAPA earlier this year, you could have had an immediate rescinding. And so that would have been immediate. What the president has done is called for a 6-month wind down to give notice and to have an orderly, efficient process in place. Congress says they're going to act. They are welcome to act. After all, they're the ones who make the laws in this country. They failed to act for 7 months. Now they have 6 more months. That's a total of more than a year. And we'll see what they do. Okay,
constitutionally, they have to. It's in their court. Okay. The president is tweeting about Hurricane Irma today. Here's the tweet. Watching hurricane closely, my team, which has done and is doing such a good job in Texas, is already in Florida. No rest for the weary. The hurricanes, however, Kellyanne, are something of a distraction. I hate to call them a distraction, but they get in the way of other legislation like the budget and the debt ceiling. It's going to be a very crowded schedule, isn't it?
Well, the hurricanes are human tragedies, so people are suffering. And in Houston, we're told there are still about 33,000 people in shelters, 55,000 without power, about 63 deaths, and there's no way to look around the corner and know what's in front of that recovery and rebuilding effort. So the president has made very clear, as has his administration, that the money will be there and he will be there to see this through. Now, with Irma bearing down, yesterday the president he approved states of emergency, I believe, for Florida and the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and we are tracking Irma as well. But you saw really the president at his compassionate best going down, and the vice president going down, members of his cabinet as well. The question now also for Congress is hoping the House will act as soon as today or tomorrow on Harvey relief, with the Senate later in the week. Maybe the House will stay through the weekend, it's expected, to get all of this done. But again, this is Donald Trump. If you're a businessman and you're not a politician, you're not of or for in the swamp your entire career here in Washington, you're accustomed to doing many important, bold things at once. And that is true as president. He is ready to sign tax reform into law, health care reform into law, Harvey relief, the debt ceiling, the budget. Certainly continue to move toward building the wall and funding it. Many things on the docket, but this president is ready to effectuate all of them. It's really up to Congress to put it on his desk.
Kellyanne Conway, thanks as always for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Stuart.
Thank you very much, ma'am.